All right, recording is started. Uh, Vanessa is in her second year as a lecturer in the dance science program at Texas A&M University. She's currently teaching dance science lecture courses and technique classes such as tap and modern dance. Vanessa is interested in intersection of science and dance, including injury prevention, psychological skills, and best training practices for dancers. She is also involved with programs such as Dance for Parkinson's, using Dance for Health to connect with those in the community. Vanessa, you can start your presentation, and we are excited about it.
All right. Thanks for the introduction, Armanto. So yeah, I'm Vanessa, and I decided to do this project looking at my tap dance students. So last semester I was teaching the tap dance technique course, and so this project revolves around what I did with that, and looking at using AI tools for choreography and why that might be important for the 21st century dance student. So let me go to my next slide here. A little introduction of what might be used with AI in dance. As I started looking into this, I found that there are a lot of AI tools for students thinking about in the writing process, revision and editing papers, thinking about the start of the writing process. I saw AI tools being used by educators for the grading process, making that more efficient, giving personalized feedback to students. And I was trying to think of all those things are also necessary for our dance students, but what might be some unique tools and uses of AI specifically for dance students? And it's a little bit limited right now. So some ways I saw AI being used in the dance world, in dance education, was capturing movement. So using 3D motion capture to visualize movement in a different way, not on a human body. Using AI as a dance partner in performances. So having maybe an AI generated figure on a screen and dancers on the stage interacting with that, using AI to maybe generate choreographic ideas. So you could use ChatGPT for this. Write in a prompt, I want to create a dance around this theme or something like that. And maybe you could get some text-based responses back. Thinking about recording dance performance, so how to take the ephemeral dancer and write what that movement is. So thinking about the archival process of dance choreography. Saw it being used for movement analysis and maybe ideas about its use for personalized feedback as sort of AI being a dance teacher that could watch dance movement and be able to give some feedback on technique. And that part was a little bit more theoretical. So when I was trying to research this, there were maybe some apps that were in the process, or it was kind of maybe as tools get better, that could be something where AI is utilized in dance. And along all of these things, thinking about sort of that conversation of creativity, the creative process, who owns the creative right. So as you're using AI in dance choreography or in other arts fields as well, thinking about how does that play with sort of the ethical issues of AI. So these are some of the things that I found, and I decided to kind of hone in on maybe some choreography tools. And I'll skip to my next slide here. As I was searching for this, I was trying to look for tools that are easily accessible for our students, so free and could be available to the public in general. So I've landed on two tools, which I'll talk about a little bit more in depth, things that we used in class. But I will say in my search, I felt like it was sort of limited for AI tools specifically for dance. And that's something that I hope to see more of, see more creativity with that in the future, and maybe to connect with some of you about that. But I wanted to look for some tools that were free, things that we could use in a classroom setting. And I landed on two of them. So one of them is the Living Archive experiments with Google. And you can see that first picture there on the top shows some dance stick figures. And it's sort of an archived area of some of Wayne McGregor's work. He's a very famous dance choreographer. And so in their archival process, they did 3D motion capture to kind of take a lot of his famous works and to put them into this digital archive. And they recently created a tool where you could go in and pick different poses from that archive and create your own sequence or your own dance. So that's sort of the AI generated part of that. So that's a tool I found for dance choreography, which was great. And then along with dance choreography, you typically, not always, but typically might have some music that goes along with it. So a free tool that I found is called Suno AI, which is a song generator. And I guess there's a free option to it. So it is a subscription. But with a free version, you can get it's 10 songs a day that you can create. So I found these and decided to use them because they were pretty easy to use for one. And also they would be free and available to students or anybody to use. So what did we do with these tools? Like I said, I was working with my tap dance technique class last semester to kind of experiment with some of these tools. And I decided to do an in-class workshop. So I had students get together in pairs or groups of three and choreograph a short tap phrase from these AI tools. And before that, I had given them some readings on AI and dance. Like I said, there's a little bit, not a whole lot yet. But from what was out there, I had them do some of those readings. Then they came in to do the workshop. And then after that, the experience was tied to a discussion board assignment where they could write about maybe some of the advantages and disadvantages they saw with using the AI tool in choreography, their thoughts and attitudes towards using it, their opinions about it, how they saw their classmates using it. So that's kind of how I worked it into the course. So here's a little bit of what it looked like. When I came into class that day for the workshop, I had them use the Living Archive tool to choose 10 poses at a minimum. Some of them chose a little bit more. So they had to choose 10 poses from those stick figures. And I'll do a little demonstration of what that looks like in a second so you can see how you could fit together a sequence. So they had to choose at least 10 poses, and you can play the sequence back and kind of watch how it moves. So they could play around with different combinations of poses, different combinations of sequences until they found one that they were inspired by and wanted to work with. After that, the next step was to compose a song with the Suno AI song generator. And that uses a text-based prompt to create a song. So you could really write in anything. You could write the style of music that you want, maybe the theme of the lyrics that you want in the song, and it'll create, I've noticed with the free version, it creates two different versions of the song for each prompt that you put in. After that, once they had their sequence and their song, it was time to choreograph. So using those poses and the song they created as inspiration, they had to choreograph a short tap phrase. So that was another sort of challenge, another level to this choreography, was that from those stick figures, which we'll take a closer look at, they don't have tap shoes. On their feet. So that was sort of another level, is taking this stick figure, digital figure, and putting it into a tap dance skill that they already knew. So I'll talk a little bit about their experiences with that. And then after they choreographed, by the end of the class, we had some time to perform the work. So I had them sort of go through the whole creative process of dance making from the very beginning, gathering some ideas, choreographing, and then performing it. So actually, I'm going to go back for a second and let me switch my screen so I can show you what um, what these tools looked like. So I'll give you a quick demonstration of it. Can everyone see my screen? Give me a thumbs up or a nod. Okay. So this is kind of what the tools looked like. So this is the Living Archive tool. And you can see as I drag around the screen, there's a bunch of different poses, these stick figures all throughout. And what's really cool is if I click on one of them, see, I kind of like this guy, hands on the hips. If I click on the information button, it tells you a little bit more about the piece that it came from. So this came from Tree of Codes in 2015, and it gives you a little blurb about the work. Some are more detailed or have videos like this one does than others. So as the students were using it, they were also kind of learning a bit about the choreographer and his work. So I had students choose 10 poses at least from here, but I'll just click, let's see, this one looks kind of fun. And like this one too. So you can see at the bottom of my screen, I've chosen just 3 poses today, and all similar, but a little bit different. If I click the play button, it shows you sort of a demonstration of what that movement looks like put together. Now you might be thinking, that just looks like a little chicken wing dance to me. I don't know how you would do that. So that's kind of maybe one of the limits of the tool, right? It's not exactly what it would look like on a human body, maybe. So this is what the students played around with. And then they had to create their song. So I'll skip over to the Suno AI song generator. And I'd like to get some audience participation here and have somebody give me a text-based prompt. So you can see the one that they give you some suggestions. So a heartfelt rap song about finding love on a rainy day is the suggestion that it pops up with for me. But you could write in anything, and you can see some of the other examples of songs that I've created for samples in the past. But if anyone would like to give me a prompt, you can just unmute yourself or write it in the chat. I don't know if I can see the chat from where I'm at, but you can shout it out too, and I'll type it in and see what it comes up with. Okay, I see a jazz song about dancing in Texas and tap dancing in the sunshine. So I'm going to put those together. Let's do a jazz song about dancing in the Texas sunshine. We'll try that. And then if I click create, it takes a minute, but with how the free model works, at least, it gives you 2 different, slightly different versions of that song. So if these don't load too quickly, and I'm not sure, I have to check that I can share sound, but I will try it if these load. But you can play around with a few different things. So you could play around with the prompt, which some of the students did. They got very creative with their prompts. You can also click up here and toggle between instrumental or with lyrics. The option it gives you right away is with lyrics. So I want to see if I can click play on this. Let me know if you can hear it. I'm not sure if my audio is shared. The Texas sun, oh, how it gleams, casting shadows with its beams. You can see the lyrics on the right-hand side. We sway and twirl beneath the sky. Okay, I'm gonna pause it for the sake of time, but just to kind of show you what that looks like a little bit. So I'm gonna stop sharing and come back to our main screen here. So I would like to give you all the chance to play around with these tools like our students did. So I kind of gave you a quick demonstration of what it looks like to use those tools. And let me go back to the presentation. Sorry, I'm toggling between sharing different screens. Bear with me. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna come here first. I'd like to give you a chance to try it out. So I'm gonna put the links to both of these tools in the chat. And let me check my time. We'll take about 10 minutes or so for you guys to try these out yourself. So I have some guidelines for this try it section. So the first is to try to create a sequence with the Living Archive tool of at least 3 poses. So kind of what I showed you in the demonstration. Pick at least 3 and you can play it to see what that sequence looks like. And then second step is to choreograph a short dance phrase with that sequence. Now don't freak out. You're gonna put your dance hat on today, whether you typically wear it or not. And you might kind of scoot back, and if you wanna stand up and use your full body to choreograph, you could, or you could just use your hands, if that's what we can see in the screen. You could also take it a little more abstract, and maybe you take some inspiration from the sequence and you put that into just a little finger dance or just a little dance with your head. So up to you how you'd like to do that today. And then step 3, again, don't freak out. I said perform to the group, but I would like to have a few of us maybe share what we created. And then step 4 is optional, is to create a song with that Suno AI song generator. That's optional because, as I mentioned, you have to create an account to do that. It is free, or there's a free option. So when you just first log in, it'll open up to that free option. But if you're not comfortable with that or don't want to do that today or log in with your Google account, you don't have to. So that step is optional, but it's really fun to play around with. So let me get the links to these in the chat. And if you haven't already looked them up, which some of you might have, the links will be in here so you can click on them. Okay, so we've got the Living Archive link on top, and then the Suno song generator link underneath that. So my clock says 11:19, so maybe we'll come back together. I'll check in around 11:27 or so and see how we're doing. So feel free, if you're not comfortable with doing this with your camera on, you can turn your camera off and do some of your choreography, or you can keep your camera on so we can see everybody's creative process in the moment. I see some smiles, which is good.
Since it will take a while for trying this, can I ask the questions, Vanessa?
Yeah, definitely.
So, what is the normal choreographing process before utilizing AI? Is it the same process by looking ideas from different dance or videos or whatever it is? And how do you confirm its authenticity, your new choreography after that?
Yeah, so are you asking about the normal
Yeah,
choreographic
the normal
process
process.
without AI?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's a hard question to answer because there's not one formula for choreography,
Mhm.
and it's going to be different for every choreographer, for every artist. Um, a way that I like to work typically is I'll work from some kind of writing. So whether that's I have a theme in mind or an idea, I tend to do some writing on that. Maybe look into some writing around that topic in general. And then also using visuals, maybe like a piece of art sometimes inspires me. That's different for everybody. So I want to put that out there. That's one way that I typically start with choreography. And then from there, it's kind of looking at that and maybe translating it into some movement. So that could be me just in the studio, improvising. So not having planned anything. Maybe I just put some random music on. Doesn't have to be specific music. And I start to move my body. And then if there are things that start to come together or relate, I start to piece those pieces of movement together. Kind of like you would do with the poses in the Living Archive, except those are already created for you, I guess. So it's almost like skipping that step, maybe. You have kind of a range of movement just right in front of you in a digital space. Um, and then for me, at least, music typically tends to come afterwards, but some people use the music or whatever kind of audio they have to inspire that movement as well. So it really looks different for everybody. And there's not just one way to choreograph. Something that I heard from students with using these tools is some of them really liked it and thought it could be useful if you have sort of a block and you have no ideas to start or anything like that. So it could be one way to kind of get ideas flowing. But then I heard from some students and they said it probably would have been easier if I had just done it from my mind and what I was excited about putting into my body that day. So some of it felt like an extra step to have to use this tool. So I'll talk about some of the student reflections after this. Um, but
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
This is a lot of fun. Thank you for sharing it.
Great. Yeah. I'm glad you're having fun with it.
Hello, this is Shirley Lewis from the Dental School. Does it only allow you to take your current picture? You cannot post another picture to for the movements?
Yeah, so on the Living Archive tool, it gives you the option to, if you want to create your own pose. So you can take a picture of yourself currently, and it'll kind of point you to the most similar pose that's in the archive to what you did. I don't think you're able to upload
Okay.
a picture, but you can take a picture in the moment if there's a pose that you're like, oh, I really want to include this. You could do that too. Does that help?
Yeah, a little bit, but from my desk, it's like, and I have a small office, so it's not taking that picture.
Okay. And yeah, some of the students played around with that as well. That feature isn't great. So it doesn't always work the best, but if you something you can do is if you don't like any of the poses that are showing up on the page, if you refresh on the Living Archive website, it should give you kind of a new set of poses. So the screen should look a little bit different.
Okay.
So if you don't like the poses you see, maybe try that and see if there's something else on the screen that speaks to you. And we'll say maybe another minute or two to kind of wrap up what you've been working on. If you have one movement or one thing you could kind of show us, that's great. If you have the full 3 poses and a little phrase, that's great too.
Sorry, I get back to my previous question. It's my camera that's the issue. It's not the program. I just realized. Because I was
Okay.
trying to turn my camera on for the Zoom just now, and it wouldn't let me, and it says, so it's my camera.
Okay. Yeah, and you might have to give whatever browser you're on, you might have to give permission to use the camera too.
Okay.
But I think just for the sake of time, so we have some time for questions at the end, if you want to come back together, so wherever you're at in that process, if you were following along, let's come back together. And as I said, I wanted to give an opportunity to perform what you created. So if I have some brave souls on the screen who would like to share, if you don't want to share the full thing, maybe you can show us one movement or share. I don't know if we can share the songs, but maybe share some of the movement that you choreographed.
Share the movement, sharing the screen, or we dance it?
You can dance it.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to do those movements.
So you could take it as an interpretation of it. It doesn't have to be literal what the poses are doing. Or if you want to maybe describe the poses that you came up with, if you don't want to share
Okay,
over.
can you hear the song? Let's see. No.
No, I don't think we can hear it without
Okay.
sharing. I don't know if everybody has the. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So we've got sort of a wave of the arms there. Awesome. Anybody else? What did you choreograph? What did you come up with?
I'll be a brave soul because
Okay.
I'm not a great dancer at all, but I don't mind being silly and having fun. So let me share so you can hear the sound. All right, this is the movement that I'm going to attempt, and here's my music.
Oh, I like it.
There we go.
That's awesome.
That was a fun.
I think your movement and your song worked very well together. So that was great. Anybody else want to share?
Oh, I didn't know I could share the screen.
I wasn't sure either but yeah, if you have the access, go ahead.
Oops, not this one. Not this one. So what you see?
We see
Interesting.
I'm doing what looks very difficult, Soily. So
I know,
you
I
do that
know.
move. We can't hear your sound because you
Can
have to
you?
click on share sound.
Well,
We can read your lyrics though on there. So
can you?
great.
I liked the lyrics.
Does anybody else? Maybe we can have one more person if you'd like to share.
I want to stop sharing.
All right. Well, maybe I'll just share some takeaways, things that I heard from the students in their reflections, and then we'll leave some time for questions, or you can talk about your experience. So let me get back to the presentation slides. Okay. So I'd like to share some things that the students said about experimenting with these tools. So in their discussion board assignment, I had them answer a couple different questions. One of them was, in what ways do you see yourself or other dance artists, educators, or choreographers using AI for tap dance in the future? And I focused on tap dance specifically because that was the technique class that we were in, but some of them mentioned other genres as well. And so I won't read through all of these quotes, but for this question, some of the students responded that I think AI could potentially inspire dance shows and be an ongoing theme or maybe an entire show. And then also commenting on seeing AI in the future of tap dance, helping choreographers store their movements into computer systems, and also being used in the classroom setting for giving individualized corrections for students. So a couple different uses of AI. And then I asked them to specifically think about their experience, their thoughts, and attitudes towards using those AI tools in class. One of the students said, I loved the way the stick figures moved all around, but I did feel it was kind of limited. On the other hand, I loved how AI could create a song for us. So maybe liking the song generation a little bit more than the dance choreography, which is maybe something they're more familiar with. And then another student said, could be a useful tool, piecing together several phrases, but I don't see it being very useful for the entirety of a piece. And they also went on to say, it would then dive into a series of questioning who would deserve credit for the piece, etc. So the students are starting to bring up some of those ethical concerns that they were reading about, that they noticed in class with using AI, then who owns that choreography? Or if you're using an archive like this one from Wayne McGregor, do you have to cite Wayne McGregor as a choreographer in the work that you created? So just some interesting points that the students brought up. And a few takeaways from my perspective of how it went with this experimentation in class is I think that there are more uses in arts education for AI than we might have realized. And sometimes it might just take incorporating these AI tools and a little bit of creativity to make it work. So you notice that those stick figures, it doesn't give you maybe a very literal representation of what that movement would look like in your body. There is some kind of translation to do that. And also thinking about taking that into tap dance movement. These come from more modern and ballet-based works, which do not have percussive sound in them necessarily with the feet. So trying to translate that into a different dance genre, little bit of creativity, one for the students to figure that out, but also as I was looking at tools, trying to kind of make it work. Could the students get something useful out of this experience in their technique classes? And looking at dance more specifically, I think there's untapped potential for using AI in dance composition. And dance students have mixed opinions about the use of AI in dance composition, which is, I think, a good thing. If they all just jumped on board and said, yes, we're all going to use it, no questions asked, that would be maybe limiting to them. And I think um, the point or the idea that they had concerns about the ethics of it and were concerned about the creative process and the creativity involved in it means that they're really critically thinking about these uses. So I'll just end with saying thank you for listening today. If you have questions or want to talk about your experience using the tools, we can do that now. And I hope that there are more AI tools for dance specifically that continue to pop up. If you have the capacity and the skills to be able to build something like that, I would love to connect. That is not my skill set, but I think it's really important that we continue to build on this. So would love to connect and hear your thoughts.